Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So a couple days ago in this video, we said that if we got to 1,000 likes, we'd send a KCC t-shirt to somebody who commented down below. Well, you guys smashed that out of the ballpark. It's over 1,500 likes, so let's send out a t-shirt. There are 420 eligible comments, and this website will pick one person at random out of those comments and we'll send them a t-shirt. Here we go, let's pick a winner. And the winner is Irish Dragon. So Irish Dragon, stay tuned at the end of today's video where I'll give you instructions on how to get in touch with me and we'll send you out that KCC t-shirt. So without further ado, let's get back into the video. Today, we're jumping into some malicious compliance. Our first story today comes to us from, Farty McCrapface, I can't say that. Reject my idea and then praise the dumb idea from the boss's daughter? Sure, let's do it her way. Let's jump right in. So, back when I was a university student, I got hired for a summer vacation position at a dog training school to design and maintain their website. It was kind of one of those scammy sorts of certifications that would never land anyone a job anywhere, but it was a thing and the school was actually fairly popular. Now, this was back in the day before MySpace, where GeoCities websites were our own little touch on the internet. If you were young enough to never have had the pleasure of visiting a GeoCities site, here are a few of the common themes. Like the Dawson's Creek theme, not for long, because your inner ear canal is going to be eviscerated on half of the ones you visit, with "so open up your morning light" being shouted at you. All the fonts, all of them, from Comic Sans to Times New Roman, you're going to see them all. Wait, all those fonts are visually appalling. Better make a giant slurry of colors in the background to balance it out. And let's top all of that off with some low-res, low-FPS GIFs. Utter perfection. KCC note, yes, that is how you say it according to the person who invented them. Anyway, I was an actually competent web designer, and it was clear that their official website was made by a not-so-competent web designer. It was basically a GeoCities site hosted off GeoCities, which somehow made it worse. That's kind of why they hired me. A lot of their graduating customers in the final survey called the homepage a total mess. The daughter of the owner of the company had designed it, and she was not happy that people disapproved of her work. You see, I was the poor bastard in the position of cleaning up her crap, and I really did make a valiant effort to be civil about my job, essentially boiling down to undoing her job. You have to understand here that at the end of the GeoCities era, people were beginning to realize that visitors to our websites didn't want to have seizures upon opening them, and the web in itself was gradually moving towards simplicity. Drop-down menus were all the buzz, especially because high-speed cable was not yet popularized, and nobody wanted to load an abomination that reminded them of that god-awful teeny drama with kids who had a thesaurus in their back pockets. The owner's sweet baby girl had also apparently caught wind of what they were paying me, which she thought was far too inflated. Their core salespeople were making half the hourly that I was making, so why did they need me when they had her? The craphead drove a brand new Volkswagen New Beetle, so obviously she wasn't hurting for money, but I digress. During our first meeting, they asked me about my plans for the website. I went over how the current website's bones were good, which they most assuredly were not, but it could use a more modern touch. I proposed simplifying it with drop-down menus and so on. During this meeting, the owner's daughter gradually transformed her smug smile into a sneer, and later on to a full-out scowl. Eventually, she interrupted me saying that I wasn't there to redesign the site, the purpose for which I was explicitly hired, but to do the tech stuff with her doing the design stuff. In general, people agreed with her. Maybe art director was hidden somewhere in her BS consultant title, but whatever. I realized then that my tenure there wasn't going to last long. To milk out every penny from my paycheck, I suggested that she handle the design side and I build the site. Without exaggeration, everything she suggested was bordering on malicious stupidity. I did it all anyway. Barking sounds on clicking links, you got it. Wait, you want me to put how many success story pictures on one page? Well, you're the designer. Yes, I'm fairly sure that discipline is the correct spelling after all. No, I'm sure people's 56K internet connections will handle this just fine. A month and a half later, our abomination was complete. She was strangely satisfied, and to this day, I wonder if the entire thing was a ploy to get back at Daddy for something. You could legitimately build a better site in the GeoCities web wizard tool. If the job mattered at all to me, I probably would have vomited in disgust. When it was unveiled, everyone in the company unanimously hated it, and all I could say was that I was just the tech guy. I was soon thereafter let go for unrelated reasons, and a month later when I visited their site, I noticed they had gone back to the old one. Out of curiosity, all these years later, I just looked up the school, and apparently they still do exist. My act of malicious compliance obviously didn't do any lasting damage on them, as their new website is about what you would expect from one in 2021, but damn, I am still proud of myself. You totally did what you were hired to do. I'm glad you were able to get a couple of paychecks out of it. You were stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's no way you were gonna make that site look good and run properly while having her on the team. Now, getting back to the whole GeoCities thing, does anybody remember how many under construction banners were on those sites? Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our second story today comes to us from Iris or Child 07. Fine, I'll just put it all back. Let's jump right in. This takes place several years ago at my former place of employment. Working in an office setting is wild. I'm sure everyone has worked with someone or someones who have been at a company a long time. These people tend to be very stuck in their ways and view new people there less than 5 years, as at best an influx of new blood and at worst a temporary annoyance that will be gone in a few years while they will still be there, plugging away. When you had the employees that hadn't been there all that long, but felt like they ruled the world due to their position, that they needed to know every bit of the goings-on, big and small, no matter the department, and then there was a sprinkling of normal, I just want to do my job type of people, the neutrals. And finally, the people who really loved their job. Those types of people were the nemesis of the unhappy, because how dare they have so much enthusiasm for something that makes half of the office miserable. I really loved my job. I was working at a non-profit helping our community. The agency did a lot, but our main bread and butter was assisting the population with getting work. Not my department, but I saw our agency as a body that needed all parts to work well. We had a lot of resources, including a clothing store that in theory had everything a person needed to look smart at an interview. In reality, we accepted any and all decorations no matter the size, age, brand, or style. This was a huge problem because half of the things were unusable for our target population. For instance, grandma dies and their well-meaning relatives donates all her going to church clothes, 1980s skirt and blazer sets, stuff that's wildly too big or out of style, or a church had a clothing drive and someone gives all their teenage sons and daughters outgrown clothes, which aren't exactly work appropriate or the correct size for our clients. Our store looked like a second-hand store after a sale. It was packed, disorganized, and overwhelming. The worst part, it was really no one's job to maintain it. It was loosely under our marketing officer, who solicited donations, and apparently the manager of career services, which I didn't know at the time. The maintenance staff would cart stuff in there, and random staff members would put stuff away when we had free time or needed something brainless to do. Every once in a great while, we had volunteers come in and organize. That was it. Now, all the background is needed for the malicious compliance I was forced to hand out. Our CEO was retiring after 4 decades of service to the agency. We were having a huge free community event with bouncy houses for kids, food, and building tours. The day before all regular business concluded, and we began preparing for the event, which includes straightening our cubicles, decorating classrooms, etc. I asked the marketing officer if I could straighten the clothing closet. She gave me the go-ahead, so I jumped in. It took me all afternoon, but when I was done, everything was organized by men's, women's type of clothing, and size, like a normal store. A person could walk in and browse the racks and find things they could actually wear to a job interview. Throughout the day, I had many staff members stop in and remark on the change. There were a lot of compliments and looks of disbelief at what I was able to get accomplished. The only issue was that I had a huge stack of trash bags full of clothes that would need to be taken to our fellow nonprofit that dealt in more relaxed clothing standards. I had arranged for maintenance to help me take the clothes in my car and his truck the next morning to their building. I felt all around good at what I was able to do and how I figured out everything so no one else had to worry about it. Unfortunately, a load of crap was headed my way in the form of the manager of career services. At the end of the workday, she came in and was upset that I completely went over her head and emptied the closet. Organized is not empty, and when I tried to explain that, she didn't care. She said that it was embarrassing. It looked like we had no clothes to offer our clients. One half rack was empty except for hangers. I went on to say that the clothes I took out weren't work appropriate. She said it wasn't my job to decide that. She wasn't wrong, but it also was a volunteer activity. It was no one's job. She was also mega mad at all the trash bags sitting in the hall full of clothes, the ones I planned on donating to another agency the next morning. She said I couldn't make those decisions, that I was way overstepping my job title, and that I had no respect for other departments. It was heartbreaking. Here I thought I was helping by taking on a huge task, and I actually created more work for other people. Plus, I was embarrassed and mad that such a huge problem was ignored till I was finished. Like, why not stop me an hour in? Several people stopped in to look. I know they went back and told her what I was doing. I asked her what she wanted me to do, and she said put it back. So I did. I stayed over and emptied every trash bag and box I had carefully filled. That half-empty rack of hangers, full to bursting, no rhyme or reason. And while I was organizing, new donations had come in, so they will have to just stay in their trash bags since I'm not qualified to know what is work appropriate. In the end, it looked exactly like it had before. Actually, it looked worse if I'm being honest. The next morning when she came in, she was again so mad at me that it looked like chaos in there. I just shrugged and said, "You wanted me to put it back." There wasn't much room, so I made it fit the best way I could. The CEO was super embarrassed and made sure when we did our tours, we just stood in the doorway and explained what the store was for, but didn't let people go in. I got in a load of crap from my manager and was generally disliked by that manager and a few of her team from there on out. I didn't step foot in that store again, and 2 months later, they had a personal shopper donate their time and do exactly what I had done, but somehow that was okay. It was infuriating, and I obviously didn't decide to stay with the agency. I couldn't take the pettiness. That whole experience really made me dislike coming to work and question why I put in a lot of extra work outside the scope of my job, which I also just dialed back to doing the bare minimum. So again, we're back to the fact that a company can be amazing to work for. You may love your job, but a bad manager makes a workplace toxic. We've said it in so many previous videos, people don't generally leave a job, they leave a manager. That's definitely what happened in this case. Our last story today comes to us from Stretch Armstrong. I denied a cop the bathroom code at Subway. Let's jump right in. So I was working at Subway a few years ago and a man came in with his wife and 2 children. I had all 4 sandwiches started when the man asked me for the code to the bathroom. The policy was you had to make a purchase to get the bathroom code. But by the way he was doing the potty dance, it was pretty apparent this guy needed to go. Obviously, either he or his wife will pay for the 4 sandwiches I've already started. The next day, my boss sits me down and lectures me about how the code is on the receipt for a reason. She watched the tape and saw me give the man the code and tells me I don't care who it's for, whether it's your friend, family, whatever, you name it, you do not give the code under any circumstances. Later on that night, I was working by myself when some guy in a trench coat and greasy long hair came in the side door and said, "Hey man, somebody got seriously effed up outside." A long line of customers waited for me while I suddenly grabbed the bread knife, sharp AF, and went around to check. It wasn't the best part of town, so you never know with people. Anyways, as Trenchcoat Man stated, someone was seriously effed up outside. His face was all bloody and he was just a mess. I called 911 and went back to making sandwiches. Sometime later, a few cop cars and an ambulance showed up. They were doing their business outside, and then one of the officers comes in and asks for the bathroom code. Like 6 hours earlier, my boss told me not to give it under any circumstances without a purchase. I laughed a little and told him what I told all the other customers. I'm sorry, you have to make a purchase first. You can get a cookie which is only pennies, and then it'll be on the receipt. He didn't realize the laugh was really at myself and how awkward of a situation he unknowingly put me in, nor did I have a chance to explain it before the laugh and the rejection of the bathroom code caused the cop to become straight up furious. He gives me 3 warnings to give him the code. Each time, I tell him I'm not going to give it to him, and the customers are on my side, telling him I'm just doing my job. After his 3rd warning, he shook his head and muttered, "I can't believe you're interfering with an ongoing investigation." And he uses the walkie on his shoulder to get some information. About 5 minutes later, one of the cops hands me a phone. I answered and my manager said, "Are you effing serious?" Long story short, the cop got the bathroom code and a free bag of chips. This could have been a really interesting conversation with the manager. I mean, they told you not to give the code out under any circumstances unless they bought something. So it would have gone down something like this for me. Well, the cop doesn't want to buy anything, so I can't give him the code. Do you want to come down here and buy something for him so then I can give him the code? Let me know. Okay, here's some information for the KCC t-shirt winner. All you need to do is go to the KCC YouTube channel, hit the About page, find my email address, and send me an email with a screenshot showing you logged into that account. I need to prove that it's you. Then I'll send you one back asking for your information, and we'll get you that KCC t-shirt. You have 48 hours to do this. If I don't get something from you within that time, we're gonna take your t-shirt and give it to somebody else in a future video. Check out all 3 OPs at the links in the description down below. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.